Hello, everybody. Welcome to your very favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I am your co-host, Mike L, and as always, I'm joined by...
Michael Dell, the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right, and this week, it is my pick. And I know that you're happy because I went back to Marvel Comics, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this week, we are picking something that is dear to my heart, and that's Transformers by Bob Budiansky. And we're going with number 7 of the classic Marvel comic from 1984, I think?
85.
85, all right. So yeah, I'm super pumped for this. What about you?
I was hoping for a GoBots issue.
Oh, that hurts.
Did DC do GoBots?
You know, somebody did GoBots, I just don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, what
Come on. I think we're getting sabotaged here.
Is this Mike L?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Is this Larry?
It's Larry.
What the fuck, Larry?
You can't get away from him.
Yeah, I'm here.
What is going on?
Surprise.
You don't want me to be part of your Transformers episode?
Mike L always treats us like a Maury Povich episode, and I'm the father now. So
Yeah,
apparently.
you are the father.
He always surprises me with the guests. He just brings them on.
It's fun.
We were mid-show, Mike L.
Mid-show, right.
So
30 seconds.
So are we starting over?
No way. This is part of the show. This is part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the fun.
That's right.
Well, Larry, thank you so much for joining us. Why are you here, though?
Well, Mike L asked me if I wanted to be on the show, so I said okay.
And you actually read the comic book?
Yes, I've known about this for like a month. He asked me like a month ago about this.
That's
Look
right.
at you two, conspiring behind my back.
As always.
You know?
Unbelievable. Well, Larry, I assumed if Mike L was going to have you on, he would have picked the Spider-Man issue.
Well, I like Transformers too.
See?
Yeah. But I mean, there's an issue of Transformers where Spider-Man is in it.
Right. Well, hey,
That'll be the next episode.
Well, Larry, what an honor and a privilege to have you here on the show. This is your second appearance on Flea Market Fantasy.
That is correct, yes.
Now, are you happy to be back? Are you mad? Are you angry?
No, I'm happy. You sound upset though.
No. No, not at all. I am delighted.
I think this might throw your plans off for tonight, right, Mike Dell? All your notes.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Because I really didn't do a lot of notes, Michael, because I know you'd love Transformers.
That's right.
I just feel bad because I know Larry hates doing this.
I don't.
Like, I feel like Michael hoodwinked him into doing it.
He just hey, because he asked me, like, he's like, hey, you want to come on and do like the Transformers? And I'm like, sure. And he's like, or do you want to come on and do a horror comic? And I was like, oh, that sounds good. What are you doing? He's like, oh, some Dracula thing. And I was like, no, I'll just go ahead and wait for the Transformers.
All right, long as you're here under your own, you're like volunteering to be here. Because here's what's going to happen, Michael. As soon as we're off the line, Larry will call me and say, what the fuck with Mike L? Get me on that podcast.
Yeah, I believe it.
No. Plus the $100, That's all.
Yeah.
Well, it's $100 Canadian, though, so it's not worth much.
Yeah.
So Larry, you like the Transformers?
Oh, yeah. I've always loved the Transformers.
Now, I know, like, a couple of years back, we did an episode of the LCS show where we had Mike L on and we talked Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
And we did, like, our top 11 Transformers and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I can't remember, Larry. Do you recall your first Transformer that you ever had?
That's a tough one. It might. I don't remember the guy's name. I think I had the police car. I don't know what they call it.
Prowl.
Yes.
Prowl. Yeah.
I think that was my first one.
What about you, Michael?
Oh, it was Skywarp, the black and purple seeker jet.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't think I ever had him.
The Decepticon one?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that thing was pretty awesome. I had that too, but that was later on.
Mm-hmm. The first one I got was Mirage, the F1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and if you recall the cartoon, the first ever Transformer cartoon, Mirage was the big hero.
Well, which was Mirage?
Here's the F1 race car, like blue and white.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was suspected to be a traitor, right, in like episode 3, and then he ended up. He's the one that I think he shot the ship down. The
Well, he
spaceship
sabotaged it because he turned
Right.
invisible. They didn't know he was on the ship, and he sabotaged it and like jumped out
Right.
then a parachute.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
It was a great scene.
Yep.
Mike, when did these Transformers, the toys, come out? Was that 82-ish or was it 84?
Well, I mean, there's a huge story that I won't go into, but if you want to see it, just type in Comic Book Syndicate Bob Budiansky and he'll explain it all. But these toys were developed in Japan, and I believe there were 2 rival toy lines, one called Diaclone and one called Microman, I think.
Okay.
And or Microchange, and basically Hasbro decided, as far as marketing them in the United States, instead of just calling them Diaclone and Microchange, they would create a backstory for them and, market them with a story behind them, not just a name. And so they hired Marvel Comics to create a backstory, and then that's where you get people like Jim Shooter, who came up with the whole backstory about Cybertron 4 million years ago, transforming and how that all works. And then Denny O'Neil came up with Optimus Prime. And then as far as I know, Bob Budiansky came up with everything else. All the names, all the personalities.
Yeah, how about that, Larry? So usually I'm the guy who has to do all the background research, but I know with Transformers, Mike L.
Yeah, so you should be happy. When you hear a Transformers episode, you're like, yes.
Yeah, not a lot of work for me. So, Larry, what research did you do?
I read the comic.
Oh, all right.
That counts.
Oh, that's good.
That's about it. But there's a show on Netflix. I think it's called The Toys That Made Us. There's a whole 1-hour episode about the Transformers in there. It's pretty good.
Yes. Oh, I saw that. It was great.
Yeah. I never saw it.
Yep.
So, how did they make us? Bitter? And old?
Old for sure. Yeah, definitely old.
But it's just... Yeah, it's fascinating just because, actually, you should check that out if you haven't seen it, Mike Dell, because the backstory to all these toys is, they're more interesting than the toys themselves, Like, for example, I think one of the toy lines, the Japanese invented that one of these toy lines because they had so much plastic left over from some other, either toy line or from some American products, or maybe they had tin cans or something and they melted down. Honestly, this is all half remembered from 2 years ago, but the backstories are fascinating, so I definitely recommend checking them out.
All right, give that a whirl. Now Larry, you said Prowl was your first Transformer. What was your favorite Optimus Prime?
No, hell no.
Oh, really?
No, fuck Prime. I was never into it. I'll tell you who I loved, and he pops up in this comic book, was Soundwave. That was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
The little cassette guy, or the boombox, whatever, tape recorder player, whatever you call it.
Yeah, just kind of, just a recorder. But,
Walkman.
Yeah, and he had Laserbeak, the Hawk, and what was it? Mike Ravage, the Black Cat tape, right?
Right. Well, when you bought him, he came with Buzzsaw.
Oh, which was Laserbeak, but different colors.
Yeah, gold.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He
was fun, though.
I'm a Black Cat kind of guy. So, Mike L., who was your favorite then?
Probably Shockwave.
Yeah. That was awesome.
And he's in this issue as well. We'll talk about him. The big purple gun.
Yeah.
And my favorite would probably be, from the cartoons and everything, Starscream. He was just great.
He's good in the cartoons for sure.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's always trying to undermine Megatron.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. So here it is, the Transformers comic book. The series ran from 1984 to 1991, and it lasted 80 issues.
Yikes.
It was only supposed to be a 4-issue limited series, but the sales were so strong, they said, all right, let's just keep it rolling. And Mike L., they actually went in and had to change the ending to issue 4. I guess, I forget what the original ending was, but they had to change the last page so Shockwave comes in and kills all the Autobots. Looks like he just...
Yes, and I didn't know that until 30 years later. And I think you can actually see the original pages somewhere.
So the Transformers series lasted 80 issues. only supposed to be a 4-issue limited series. And then Mike L at issue 80 on the cover, it said issue 80 in a 4-issue limited series. So they had a little fun with it.
I know that because I have it.
And Mike L, did you know there was also a UK series going on at the same time?
Oh yes, I'm aware.
And as we've talked about the UK, they would be like half the size, and they come out weekly.
Right.
And so they reprinted these American issues, but then they also had original content. And that series ran for 332 issues. How many of those do you have, Mike L?
I have, honestly, 2 or 3 of them, I think.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yep. And I can just say for the record that most Transformers comic fans prefer the UK writer Simon Furman to Bob Budiansky. I am not one of them. Yep.
He's the guy that he took over for Bedianski when he left the series with issue 56. I think he left.
That's right. That's right. And he still continues to write Transformers to this day. Bob Bedianski gets nothing. He gets no assignments. And I have no idea why. It really pisses me off. But I will say one quick thing. If you ever get a chance to read the Man of Iron story from the UK, which is printed in the Marvel series, I think it's number 32 and 33. It is awesome. It's one of the best Transformers comics there is, for sure.
Well, good thing you didn't pick it.
Don't worry. It's in the pipeline.
All right. So, as we mentioned, the creators are Bob Bedianski, and the artist here is William Johnson. Yeah. And we'll talk about them after. Do you have any familiarity with William Johnson, Michael?
No, I think he was just one of those guys, he was kind of just on the sidelines at Marvel, and like in this time period. I haven't really come across him anywhere else other than this.
Yeah, neither have I. But we'll talk about him in a bit. All right, I guess anything else before we get into the big issue? I
want to mention quickly the inks are by Kyle Baker, who at the time was a young guy, but he is still around. Like he's one of the best inkers at Marvel of the 80s. He inked like Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man. He had his own graphic novels, and now he's basically established his own career as like an indie comics creator. And so what I call him a Marvel inker, people consider that an insult to him. But I just know him as a Marvel inker, and I think he's great. So
a fucking tracer.
Yeah.
Is that a Chasing Amy line?
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
Yes.
All right, so Michael, let's look at the big cover here. The Transformers,
Sure.
More Than Meets the Eye, Michael.
That's right. More Than Meets the Eye, the Transformers. And then we got on the little corner box here, we got Marvel, we got Optimus Prime pointing to the reader. It's a great shot. We got the M for Marvel, 75 cents. Canada, $1, UK, 50 pence.
Yeah, fuck you, Canada.
And I should also point out that my first issue of Transformers was number 2, and I didn't see another one on the stands until number 7. And the first 4 issues were bi-monthly, so that means that was like 9-10 months later. I don't know how I missed them, but anyway.
So that's why you picked this issue, because it was the second one you ever purchased.
Yeah, and it was very close to my heart. I've read this 100,000 times.
You didn't want to pick the first issue you got, or that really great issue.
Nope.
One of the best.
Pick this one.
You picked this one. All right. Just wanted to clarify. Right.
This one is also one of the best, but anyway.
What's on the cover, Michael?
So we got Ratchet, drawn by Mark Bright. Ratchet is standing with his sort of side to the reader, and he's motioning for Buster Witwicky / Spike, basically the same guy. And in the darkened doorway in front of him is Megatron. All his face is in shadow with his weird expression on his face. And Ratchet is saying, "Flee while you can, Buster. Megatron is the mightiest of Decepticons. I may not survive."
Look at the drama.
Yeah.
Larry, what do you think of the cover?
It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to be honest with you. I never heard of fucking Ratchet until I read this episode.
Are you serious?
I don't even remember him. Like when he converts, I'm like, what is he? Like just he looks like a van. Is he a van?
He's an ambulance.
Yeah, he's an ambulance. I see he said he's an ambulance, but when I was just looking at the artwork, so I looked up the toy and I'm like, I don't even remember this toy. I really don't.
I remember him, but I never had the toy because it's an ambulance. Who cares?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with that? Yeah.
Mike Did you have Ratchet, Michael?
No, you know what? I don't think so, but I had Ironhide, which was the exact same except red.
Yeah, but what was he though? Like a fire truck or something?
No, Ironhide was just a red van.
Oh, okay, but not an ambulance.
No.
Because Ratchet's deal was he's not a warrior. He's not a fighter. He's a healer. So it's like, yeah, okay, I want to put $10 down to buy that guy. Screw him.
Yeah.
But hey, Larry, on the cover, Michael mentioned there's Buster Witwicky.
Yeah.
In the foreground, a blonde-haired kid. Now, I seem to recall you doing an Optimus Prime impersonation where the Witwicky is mentioned. Would you like to do it?
Sam Witwicky. Yeah, that's the Now, Mike L., you've seen the Transformers movies, I would assume.
You mean the Bayformer movies?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. I hate them all, though. Except for Bumblebee, which is not by Michael Bay, but Bumblebee's a good movie.
Yeah, Bumblebee's solid. Okay, but I think it's the first Transformers. Remember Shia LaDouche has like a pair of those glasses that belong to some relative of his.
Okay, I think so.
And he was trying to sell them on eBay, and they turned out to be like the whole key to the movie. Now, is that in reference to this guy? There can't be that many fucking Witwickies, right?
Well, yeah, it's the same guy with just a different name.
Oh, it's him?
That's what's confusing is in the comics, he's Buster Witwicky. In the cartoon, he's Spike Witwicky. And in the movies, I guess he's Sam Witwicky.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. I thought that was like maybe his grandfather or something.
No.
Fair enough.
The Witwicky triplets.
You just gotta wonder where they got that name Witwicky from, eh?
Like, pretty awesome though. I like it.
Witwicky. Yeah. Different. I've never heard it before or since.
Mike L., you mentioned this cover was drawn by Mark Bright.
Yes.
Now, do you know some of his past work?
I only know he had a lengthy run on, I believe, Iron Man.
Correct.
And G.I. Joe.
Yeah, not like G.I. Joe, like later in the run.
Okay. I think didn't he do Power Man and Iron Fist?
A little bit. Okay. But his Iron Man stuff was the Armor Wars. He was drawn during the Armor Wars.
Right. Okay.
And the other big issue he drew that I loved was Spider-Man versus Wolverine.
Oh, great issue. Yep. The special. Yep.
But I like the art here on the cover. It's fine.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
I like this cover. I don't mind it because you get the word balloons and the drama. So, yeah, it's fine.
If you click back to number 5, it's also by Mark Bright, and it's one of the best covers of the whole series. It's excellent.
Oh. No. Do I really have to click back?
Yep, you got to click back. But anyway.
Sorry, let's get to the issue here. The big splash page, Michael.
So, yeah, we got our title here, Warrior School. And we got the splash page of these 4 people, teenagers, camping. They're kind of like making a fire here. They're warming their hands by the fire. And in the background, you see a shadow of something gigantic coming through the trees and knocking over one of the trees. Awesome.
Yeah, crack. You get a sound effect. And Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you flunk out of Warrior School?
Yeah. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with grades. It's a long story.
Okay. No need to. There's painful memories. We don't need to dig those up. So yeah, whatever was coming through the trees knocked down a tree and it fell on their campsite. And the one lady and the fella, they run out of the way, and she's like, "Watch out!" And the fella's like, "I'm too busy running to watch, Melanie."
I didn't say the dialogue was good, okay? But I do love the story. But anyway.
So thump, the tree falls down, crushes their little campsite, and then we see Ratchet, Michael.
Yes. A great shot of Ratchet standing over them, towering over them. What is he, 20 feet? I don't know, 25 feet? And then Buster is sitting on his shoulder, and basically they explained to the campers, what they are. And I just love this stuff. Forgive me, humans. My intrusion upon your ceremonies was purely unintentional. Because this is cool because no one knows what Transformers are at this point, right? So then Buster has to explain, this guy's from Cybertron. He's a robot. Yeah. He can turn into an ambulance. And then, of course, Ratchet has never seen wood before. So he picks up a piece of firewood, and he's like, what is this? And they're trying to explain it to him. He's like, "Oh, I know what fire is, but what's this, thing that's burning?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a piece of wood." and he's like, "Oh, what a great source of energy!" Blah blah blah, and then of course, again, this comic is mainly for kids, so we got to see Ratchet transform. So then Ratchet demonstrates how his abilities work. He transforms into an ambulance, then back into a robot. Then Buster starts getting all friendly with the campers, and they show them, the teenagers show them that they're just cooking hot dogs. So then Ratchet comes up with a more convenient way to cook them rather than roast them over the fire, and he takes out one of his laser scalpels and starts heating them up. Right?
What does he call the hot dog, Michael?
He calls them. What does he call them?
A heat-tempered protein cylinder.
Right. Pretty cool, eh?
That's also what I call my wang.
That sounds like a lot of work. I know one thing, though. I'm not eating hot dogs off a robot hand. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah?
Yeah, he puts all the hot dogs into his hand and cooks them with a scalpel.
Yeah. It's weird.
I'm sure it's cleaner than whatever, metal spike they were using or whatever that was. Stick. Yeah, I guess it's a stick.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of exposition about explaining. Now I understand you have to explain to the campers who the Transformers are, but this is issue 7.
But Mike Dell, this is only my second issue, so maybe I didn't know they came from Cybertron, right?
But if you're reading all this all along, like, do they do this every issue? Like, there's a 2-page recap of what Transformers?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Remember Jim Shooter's thing? Every comic book is someone's first, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
I understand where you're coming from, but.
All right.
I like it, though. I appreciate
next,
it.
we see Buster Witwicky having a seizure.
Right.
Because he got one of them tainted protein cylinders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
go ahead.
Yeah. So we see like light emanating from his head, and he has like this flashback to last issue when he ran into Optimus Prime, who was basically just a disembodied head suspended by wires and stuff. And we don't know exactly what happened, but Optimus Prime zapped him with something. And ever since then, Buster's been having these little episodes, right? And he doesn't know what's causing them. He just knows it's caused by Prime, but he doesn't know why.
You think it's robot syphilis?
Yeah, maybe.
It could be.
So we get more Ratchet talking to the kids, and Witwicky says, "I'm all right. It's just, one of those brain embolisms. It went away. Don't worry about it."
That's all. It's normal.
Fine.
Right, and they offer to take Buster back to town, right? So he's like, "Okay, well, I'll go with these guys. You can get back to what you were doing, Ratchet." And so this is cool because now Ratchet, he's like, "Oh, the youth, more important problems. The youth speaks true. No longer can I bury my responsibilities deep within my memory circuits." That's basically what I think to myself pretty much every day, right? When I wake up in the morning. But it's because basically Ratchet discovered last issue that all the Autobots are dead and Optimus Prime is just a disembodied head, right? Or he found out about that from Buster, but he hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, so he heard the story, but he doesn't know it's true or not. But he could possibly be the last Autobot.
Right, which is cool because, as you said earlier, he's a pacifist, right? So he's the unlikely hero. So then we cut over to, again, this is sort of a follow-up because in number 5, Shockwave had attacked an oil rig owned by GB Blackrock, and now we're going to another facility.
GB Blackrock, you might remember him. He was Fred Flintstone's boss.
So we cut over to, so this is Blackrock Aerospace, plant number 1. And we see a couple guys getting ready to go into work. And they just happen to see a blue, what they used to call Ghetto Blaster back in the 1980s. Just happens to be sitting there in the parking lot or whatever. So they pick it up.
I think more it's just a tape recorder because there's really no speakers to be a Ghetto Blaster.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it is just a tape recorder. Yeah, you're right.
But Larry, were you all excited when you saw this? We're like, oh shit.
I was like, there's my man right there. Hell yeah. I loved it. I just sold that back in 2011. I still have it, but
you sold it?
Yeah, I was broke.
What'd you get for it?
I can't even remember.
Was it like, give me a ballpark figure?
Like $35, $40.
I thought you would say like $300 or $400. Okay.
Well, it wasn't in the box and everything, right?
Okay.
I think it might have had the box, but the box was a little beat.
Wow. Our buddy Michigan Frank was just selling all his Transformers like a year ago.
Yeah. Times are tough, man.
So they make their way in. They put the tape recorder in their locker. One of the guys does. But then, guess what, guys? It's not a tape recorder. It's actually Soundwave.
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
He just expands out of the locker. He's like, "Meow, meow, meow," and just like explodes. And he's
Yep, I love it.
Baboosh. Now, where does the gun come from?
We don't ask those questions.
All right.
But actually, they're actually the batteries, remember, that fit into his back?
Right.
So technically, they're like Duracell batteries, but they just become his gun and his like cannon on his shoulder.
All right. Because I remember the toy, like you had to put that on separately. It didn't come up out of the device as you transformed it.
No, yeah, it came out of his back. But that's cool. At least there's a point to it. Like it's not like Optimus Prime where you take off his hands and there's nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
But and also one thing I got to point out, I'm sure you guys both remember how Soundwave talked in the cartoon, right?
Like he had, yeah, because I had a voice distorter as well from him. Like he had that like robot-y sound, like
exactly
like Ned from South Park.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like monotone, and he would talk, and he had like a certain kind of speech pattern, which I won't do, but it's very clear that this characterization is completely different, right? Like he's just talking. Like, he's
a total suck ass in this one.
Yeah, he's just a generic. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, but he's just a generic bad guy, and part of the reason for that is because Bob Budiansky never watched the cartoon, even up until this day. He's never seen it.
Oh, well, that's good. At least they put him in charge of the comics then.
Yeah, it seems like a bad decision.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, like he says, "Fly, Laserbeak. Let us give these fleshlings a lesson in deception."
Right.
Or I'm sorry, Decepticon labor relations. But yeah, let us give these fleshlings. That's not something you'd hear Soundwave say.
No, and then like even the first part, as ever, these fleshlings are no match for the cunning of Soundwave. That's not something Soundwave would say in the cartoons, right? Like just that bragging. But then we cut to the next page and we get this great shot of Soundwave, kind of like waltzing through this base and like just shooting everything, firing guns, bullets out of his machine gun thing, and Laserbeak flying around shooting.
We should also mention, Michael, this base, they had upped their security, so they had all these cannons and guns outside the building, but there's no security inside. So once Soundwave gets inside.
And that's also why he had to disguise himself to get snuck in by those two guys, which is great.
Yeah.
Love it. So then so then we do have security guards trying to shoot him. They're using machine guns, but Laserbeak just shoots back at them. Right, and then Soundwave shoots them, and everyone's freaking out. And then it's cool because then they try to radio for help, but little do they know that they're dealing with Decepticon communications officer Soundwave, right? So Soundwave's like, Laserbeak, my radio wave sensors detect a broadcast from that booth. Terminate it. So then Laserbeak flies over and shoots it and just blows up. Then we get this really cool shot of the guys in the booth, all the debris hanging behind them, and the guy's glasses are knocked off in the foreground. It's so cool.
And the guy on the ground is saying, "Ooh."
Yep. And then we cut over to the oil drilling platform, which the Decepticons are using as their base. And now Soundwave is talking to Shockwave. We get this really cool shot of Shockwave, Shockwave's face. And then we get a reverse shot of Shockwave talking to Soundwave on the computer screen. What's that?
Yeah, it gets very confusing, the sound waves and the shockwaves.
Very, yes, I'll admit that as well. But see, and this is where Larry called Soundwave a suck ass. You want to talk about this, Larry?
Yeah, because he's just like, "Oh, I did your bidding, master. Slurp, 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 slurp."
Yeah.
You guys are robots. First off, weird that you're that devoted to him. But he's just like, "Oh, just kind of, I did it, boss. I did it." It's weird.
Yeah, it's that allowed me to serve you so well, Commander Shockwave. All glory belongs to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Larry makes me say that same thing after every LCS show.
Yeah, so?
All glory belongs to you, Larry.
Thank you.
So then we cut to Fred Flintstone's boss.
That's right.
GB Blackrock.
Watching on the news, and he's all pissed off because now this is the second time one of his facilities has been attacked by Decepticons, and I love it. It's another running subplot, which is so cool.
Yeah,
what were you gonna say?
Especially if you buy a Transformers book to read about GB Blackrock.
Yeah, that's what I buy.
Millionaire businessman. You would be very happy.
Yep. Then we cut over. See, this is something the cartoon didn't have, running subplots. So now we cut over to this person is a victim of the first Transformers attack. She was electrocuted when Shockwave attacked the oil rig. And so she's been paralyzed almost entirely except for her right arm. So GB Blackrock is coming to visit her. So he gives her flowers, they're chatting it up. And basically, we can see that she can't really communicate, but she is able to use her arm. And so she's got a little secret plan. She's working on something, but we don't know just what yet, right?
Yeah.
But if you've read number 9...
tirelessly from the hospital bed with one arm.
Yes. It's so weird. She never says one word. She just continuously works. The whole guy's like, you're going to be all right, hon. You know, here's some flowers. We got this. And she just keeps typing away on her little computer, not even looking at anything. It's weird. Yeah.
Focused.
Yep.
Her nose.
So then we cut over to Ratchet, who's going back to the Ark because he wants to confirm Spike's story, or Buster's story.
Tell the kids what the Ark is, Michael.
Oh, sorry, the Ark. This is the name of the Autobots ship that crashed into Mount St. Hilary 4 million years ago. And now this serves as the Autobots' base.
Yeah, biblical reference there, the Ark.
You got it. I think it's a funny thing. I've read Transformers #1 a million times. I didn't even realize that in the first issue of Transformers, the computer was not called Teletran 1, it was called Auntie. Like, as in, like, uncle and aunt. Isn't that weird?
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so weird. But anyway, the Ark is much cooler than Auntie.
Well, I never knew what that first name was that you said either.
Teletran 1? Oh, that's the name of the computer in the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
I thought everybody knew that, but okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is, I will admit, this is the weakest written part of the book. Oof. Because Ratchet walks in and he sees the Autobots just as Spike did. But, I mean, if you just look at the art, you can see that he's shocked, but we don't need this line of dialogue. Where is it? He's like, imprisoned, inoperative, just like Buster said they were. That's a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's not that awful.
But then, what about the next page? No! It's all true. Everything Buster told me. Optimus Prime is defeated. It just looks like...
Because he saw Optimus Prime's head hanging in the wires.
Right. Yeah. Optimus Prime is his disembodied head. But I think his reaction doesn't quite fit the dialogue. He's a little bit more shocked than his dialogue is.
I could see that. Hey, Michael, did you also know there was a Transformers limited series called Headmaster?
Of course.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I have it.
And what was that like? Why was it called Headmaster? Just about heads?
Jobs.
Yeah.
No, it's because there was a line of Transformers in 87 where the heads came off and transformed into miniature men.
Oh.
Normal sized humans, yeah. So Headmaster.
That's odd.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, Ratchet's about to give up. He's like, well, I guess Optimus Prime's dead. But then Optimus Prime starts talking to him. And he's like, great Optimus, you function. And so they start chatting it up. And basically Prime is trying to explain to him that he's the last Autobot left. He's going to have to save the day. And Ratchet's like, yeah, but I'm a doctor, not a warrior. You know, it's one of those call to action things. But the refusal.
Warrior school, Michael. Warrior school.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. So then Prime's like, well, before you can act like a warrior, you must learn to think like a warrior, right? So that's kind of the setup for the next part of the story, which is awesome.
Well, but he says, as you trained on our native Cybertron to be a doctor, so shall you train on Earth to be a warrior. Experience shall be your instructor. Your own survival shall be your ultimate test. How about that, Larry? Would that pump you up, Larry? Like between periods and between the second and third periods, if the coach comes in and gives you that talk, would you be firing out the door there, the third?
No, I don't get riled up too easily.
I love it. That's like a miracle speech. Herb Brooks. Look at Optimus Prime. Firing up the troops.
I'm not fired up. I'm not.
Okay, so then we cut back over to Buster, who's hanging out with his girlfriend Jessie and his best friend O. And
so is that his official girlfriend?
I don't know if she's official, but
because I got to tell you, this is like an abusive relationship if it is.
The way he snaps at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because basically,
dick.
Yeah, because basically his father Spike is in the hospital with a heart attack, and so now Buster has to take over kind of his business, and so Jesse's
and what's
like,
explain his business, Michael.
Fixing cars.
Yeah.
He's a mechanic. So then Jesse's like, don't worry, Buster. I'm sure you could figure it out. It's just, you could figure out something as easy as fixing cars. And so this is where Buster gets abusive. He's like, listen, my dad worked over 30 years to become a good mechanic, as good a mechanic as he is. He worked hard. If you think any jerk can learn just like that to do what he does, then you're even more useless to have around this garage than me. Why don't you just leave me alone? And then they leave.
Pretty harsh, Larry, right?
Yeah, it's pretty dicky. Like, calm down, dude. I mean, it's fine if you're a mechanic, but it's not brain surgery is all I'm getting at. Like, it's okay. A lot of people can change oil and shit too.
Yeah, just watch a YouTube video. Come on, Wiki.
Yeah.
But she's pretty foxy. He shouldn't be kicking her out.
That's right.
Be happy.
If she was ugly, she'd deserve it.
Yeah, get out of here.
O's not bad either. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, so then Buster has one of his seizures again. Yeah. And then he realizes while he's having a seizure that while it was happening, the metal objects in the room were all floating, right? Like the screwdriver, the wrench, the bolt, or whatever. He's like, whoa, were they floating? What's going on? But since Bob Budiansky's a great writer, he's going to leave that a mystery. He's going to cut away to another scene of Ratchet back in the Ark. He's like, okay, well, Optimus Prime told me I got to be warrior, so I'm going to go get on that. But then he's just about to leave.
Well, we see him from behind, and so we get a good shot of Ratchet ass.
Yeah.
And he's slinking around the Decepticon headquarters, and then we see a hand reach in, Michael.
That's right. And it's like, clink, and then, crushing his shoulder.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it. And then we get a great shot of Megatron standing over Ratchet. Megatron! And then he's like, welcome, Chief Medical Officer Ratchet. You will be a most impressive addition to my collection of scrapped Autobots. I love that. Now, I got to point out, one reason I love that line is because he did not put them there. Shockwave did.
Yeah.
I just think it's awesome because Megatron and this storyline is kind of, sidelined, and it's really weird to read it as a fan of the cartoon to see Megatron, be a second fiddle to Shockwave. So I think that's
so he's trying to take credit for what Shockwave did. I love this panel, Michael. It's great, the art. But my one complaint here is, was Megatron's Decepticon emblem off center on the toy? I mean, is that intentional or?
It's a great thing. I'm glad you pointed that out because I studied up on this, Mike Dell. Okay. And there's a story behind it, and that's that for some reason, I think it was the first model that they made, the first cartoon model. For some reason, it was the angle that they drew him at. His symbol was not centered, but it was just because of the perspective of his chest. Okay. But because for some reason, all future artists read that as his symbol being off center, even though it wasn't. It was just
That's weird.
Yeah, so it was just a mistake they made.
Larry, do you remember? Did you have to put the decals on yourself? I can't remember.
Remember Jetfire?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those you put on, but I think for the most part, I don't remember if you put the Decepticon or Autobot sticker on, or if it was already on there. Like most of the decals were on, but I kind of remember you putting the Autobot or Decepticon sticker on yourself.
Michael?
Well, I think it depends on which figure and how big the sticker was. It just depends. Yeah.
Remember after a while, they went to that, like, it was just a black sticker and you had to hold your thumb on it to see whether... Yeah, I like those. Yeah. Those were the best.
I think that started with, year 2, actually. But I personally didn't like it. I just like the regular symbols.
Oh, see, yeah. I like the thumb.
They're like heat activated. You got to rub them with your hand.
Right.
Thumb.
Yeah. So probably where I started masturbating. No wonder I like the Transformers.
And so the next panel, though, Michael, Ratchet, the pacifist, throws a right cross right into Megatron's belly, and we get an awesome sound effect. Bonk.
Bonk. Yep. I love it. And then Megatron's like, "You dare strike your superior Autobot? For such effrontery, I shall tear out each wire one by one from your body." It's great.
Yeah, so he just backhands him across the room.
Right.
Splang.
Right. And then Ratchet, the only weapons he has are a scalpel. So he pulls that
Yeah.
out. I love this shot. And he shoots Megatron. And Megatron, this great overhead shot of Megatron just laughing. It's so cool. And then basically Megatron's going to kill him. But just at that moment, Shockwave interrupts with a message on the computer screen. He's like, "This is Shockwave. Stop whatever you're doing, Megatron. Prepare the head of Optimus Prime for immediate transport." Megatron's like, "Yes, Commander." And then he smashes the computer screen right after, right?
Yeah.
As if it was drywall and his name was Kyle.
I don't know what that means.
It's like a Karen, you know? He's like a Karen, but he's a Kyle.
Oh.
Kyle
is the man version of a Karen?
Well, kind of, but he's more like a teenager that likes to punch drywall, you know?
Oh.
One of those.
See, I misinterpreted that scene. I got the impression that Ratchet, like while what's his name was talking to Shockwave, I thought he drop kicked him into there.
No, not at all. No.
Okay. Because it kind of looks like he's coming down from a drop kick, like
But Megatron was holding him in the air.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, Megatron's pissed. But Michael, notice this about Ratchet. Whenever he gets his internal thought balloons, like the little dots connecting them to Ratchet, they're squares because he's a robot.
Good point. Yep.
That's a nice touch. Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
So now, this is where, remember how Optimus Prime told Ratchet he's got to think like a warrior? This is where he starts thinking like a warrior. He comes up with a plan, right? He's like, "I know how you can defeat." Actually, there's a word here that's wrong. He says, "Help you defend Shockwave." That should be defeat, right?
Yeah. But is he really thinking like a warrior, or is he thinking like a conniving weasel?
Well, he's buying himself some time, so I think he's thinking like a warrior. He's using tools that he has, So then we get a flashback to Megatron explaining, and this is cool because we see a different perspective that we didn't see in the first issue, where they're planning their attack on the Autobots, but now we find out that it was actually Shockwave that planned, the attack because he was the military operations officer. And so Megatron, what's that?
Let me just say this, Michael. I think this is the worst written part of the book.
You mean the exposition?
Yeah, and just like Shockwave assumed his space gun mode and having the ability for self-propelled space flight.
Yeah, that's not
toward Earth to investigate. Yeah,
not great. It's not great. And so, but Megatron is saying that even at this point, he was going to kill Shockwave after the attack because he knew that he was planning to try and take over leadership of the Decepticons. So then we cut over to Shockwave Landing, and then this scene was shown in Transformers #4, but we find out that these 5 Autobots were sent out, and they were given Earth forms by the Ark to disguise themselves as dinosaurs, right? So that's where
where did Shockwave land, Michael?
This is also important. So this is not magically in the Jurassic era. This is in 4 million years ago, but they're in the Marvel Comics Savage Land, where Kazar is from.
That's important because it establishes it in the Marvel Universe.
That's right. In this first year or so, this was definitely in the Marvel Universe. So, yeah. So anyway, and so we don't know how, but we know that the Dinobots defeated Shockwave. That's all we know.
Well, I think because the Dinobots are awesome.
That could be it.
Grimlock just kicked his ass.
Yeah, maybe. And so basically, so then Ratchet comes up with an idea. He's like, "Okay, so how about this? You restore the Autobots to life, and I will get the Dinobots, and I will defeat Shockwave for you, and you'll be the leader of the Decepticons again." So Megatron's like, "That sounds like a decent idea." So he's like, "Okay, so to confirm our bargain, we're going to do the ancient Cybertronic ritual, the rite of oneness."
Yes,
so I love it.
They got to make sweet, sweet love, Larry. They got to make the sweet, sweet love.
This scene's weird too. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very weird.
Like, why did you even have to go through all this? Like, I don't know.
Oh, I love it. So they take off their hands and they pour some fuel out into this little thing, and it kind of ignites on fire. And then they say this little ritual: "Now, with this sacrifice, so shall our bond be sealed, and whoever breaks the bond forfeits their life." So basically, the deal is Ratchet is going to Use the Dinobots, like I said, to defeat Shockwave, and Megatron will be leader of the Decepticons, and the Autobots will be restored. But the cool thing is, you remember Jim Shooter's rule? Do you remember this, Mike Dell, about how every comic book has to have a point where the hero says, I can't, but I must?
Yeah.
Remember that? That's basically what Ratchet has now.
Yeah.
He can't restore Megatron as leader of the Autobots, or the Decepticons, but he must, right?
Well, in order of what Shooter's talking about is the character has to step up to be a hero. And that's what Ratchet's doing here. He has, he's scared to do it, but he does it anyway because he's a hero.
Right.
And, but yeah, we do get that here with Ratchet. But I just want to go back and read what Megatron tells Ratchet here. Now, to bind our agreement, we shall partake in the most sacred of cybertronic rituals, the rite of oneness. Yes, it's appropriate. And then Megatron says, to symbolize the strength of our agreement, we each contribute a portion of our most precious bodily substance, our semen. Now, I think
that's weird, yeah.
That's a little weird.
It's gross.
No, I think you misread that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
Yeah, he says our fuel.
Oh,
yeah, I got the director's cut.
Yeah.
Semen in that one.
Our robot semen.
Yeah.
Now, and then before that, Michael, there's a big panel of Ratchet pointing to a hillside because he has this big plan. He says, all right, so upon receiving evidence of Shockwave's destruction, you'll meet me there on that mountain, a safe distance away from the Autobots and that trigger. So I guess he means the trigger to kill the Autobots. Is that what he's talking about there?
Yeah, I guess so.
So couldn't, because he says you'll be a fair distance away from that and the Ark and everything will be safe. But couldn't Megatron just, kill all the Autobots anyway and then show up on the hillside?
Well, yeah, but they just made this bond, so.
Yeah, but that was before the bond. So why would Megatron insist on making that bond when Megatron's gonna, it seems like Megatron would be the one to back out of the agreement. So you know why they had him do all that? So Bob Bedianski doesn't have to explain why Megatron doesn't double cross Ratchet.
Maybe.
But it's kind of like a cop out. I think no, it definitely is. Because Megatron would absolutely double cross Ratchet. It would be stronger if Ratchet doesn't have that assurance of the ritual. If Ratchet has to go through with the plan, even knowing that Megatron's going to sabotage him in the end anyway. You know what I mean? There'd be an extra element there.
Well, let's put it this way. He suspects that he's going to break the bond anyway, which I haven't read ahead. I can just say that he does.
Oh, all right. Well, that's better. Because it would be one thing if Ratchet proposes doing that sex ritual, because then he believes but Megatron's the one to propose it, so you think, oh well, it means more to Megatron. Well, that's good. If Megatron still backs out of it, well then that's fine. All right.
You'll see when you read number 8. But anyway,
no, I won't, because I'm not going to read number 8. But
anyway, so wait, let me just read the last panel here because I love it. So then Megatron says, "So Ratchet, go. Destroy Shockwave and restore my command of the Decepticons, or return here in defeat and join your comrades in their doom. Either way, I win." And then he laughs. I love it. And I got to point out something. As a kid, you know how it was back in those days. You'd go to the newsstand to find comics, and they might have been there and they might have not been. So I missed number 8, and I didn't read it until a couple years later. So I never knew what happened.
And Michael, the next issue, In Search of Dinobots.
That's right.
Yeah, because Ratchet knows the Dinobots beat Shockwave before, so he has to find the Dinobots to find out how they beat them.
Yep.
So in that last panel, though, Ratchet, is that robot allergies or what's going on?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's got Larry, he looks like Oscar. He's got the green mist coming out of his eyes.
Yeah. It's weird. It's
that's a wrestling reference, Michael. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ratchet's got green energy popping out of his eyes.
Right.
I don't know what that is. It's weird.
He's a little Claritin, Robit Claritin. All right. So there it is, Larry. What do you think? The Transformers.
It was fun.
Huh.
I enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I have this issue somewhere because I definitely remember reading this from back in the day, but I still didn't remember Ratchet until today.
I had a bunch of Transformers, but I think I sold them all over the years. So I don't think I have any left. I sold all my G.I. Joe and Transformer comics a long time ago. So, Mike, we mentioned Bob Bedianski. He's your buddy, and you. When I was researching Budiansky, I realized, I did this before.
That's
you remember
right.
the other time we talked about Budiansky?
Ghost Rider.
That's right. He was an artist on Ghost Rider. But yeah, he was born in the Bronx in 1954. He worked at Marvel for 20 years. He was an editor from 83 to 96, I believe. And he oversaw such books as Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and Daredevil. There was a point, Larry, where he was overseeing the entire Spider-Man family of books. So look at that.
What year was this?
Like between 83 and 96.
Oh,
he's the editor. So
that's pretty good.
I think the Spider-Man stuff was towards the end of his run. So
right. Like Clone Saga.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I know. At least it sold well, but yeah.
He wrote 48 of the first 56 Transformer issues. And he wrote he wrote issues 1 to 33 of Sleepwalker.
Which I have almost all of them. Yep.
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Really?
It was from 1991 to 1994. What was it about, Michael?
It was, to be blunt, it was Marvel's version of Sandman, but not nearly as good. He was
lame.
He controlled. I think he could inhabit people's dreams and stuff like that. Except that he looked like like a gray alien. He kind of looked like an alien, but with like a blue and green costume. And I'm not going to say I like it, but I love it for its quaint 80s vibe. Like, it's cool. It's good fun.
Budiansky created that character, and he originally wanted to name it Alien because he had created it years before, and he had to change it because of the Alien movies.
Ah, okay.
Which is weird. But that's how long ago he created that character, and he had it all those years. Yeah.
Right.
He also was an artist, we mentioned. He drew issues 68 to 81 of Ghost Rider and issues 1 to 4 of Namor the Submariner. And he also co-plotted that stuff with J.M. DeMatteis. They liked working together. He also did some inking, coloring, and even one issue as a letterer, Michael.
Right. Huh.
He did it all. How about that?
Yep.
So, we know Michael loves Budiansky, but Larry, what'd you think of the writing overall here?
The writing, not so much. I'm going to be honest with you. It's pretty stiff. It's kind of corny. Like, even in the first page, like, oh, a bunch of teenagers trying to escape the rigors of their studies. Like, nobody talks like that and shit. Like,
I love that. I love it.
See, I don't love that. I think it's cheesy and terrible, but I like the art in it. Like, it's not great, but it's fun.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. Budiansky, I love the plotting in terms of like the story arc and Ratchet's mission and his heroic journey, and I liked all the internal conflict Ratchet had. That's all great stuff. I like that you get the Megatron trying to undermine Shockwave. That's
right.
Great. It's all about conflict. You need that conflict, so that's all great stuff. I don't give a fuck about GV BlackRock. Yeah.
So what though?
I just don't care. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. I'll counter that quickly with saying I do think that Bob Budiansky probably had too many human supporting characters, but he did that on purpose because he wanted the Transformers to be relatable and he wanted to have like a human scale to everything. But
that's fine. But none of the Transformers were in those BlackRock scenes. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah. If I'm buying a Transformers book as a kid, I want Transformers.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But yeah, the dialogue's a little weak. But overall, I liked a lot of the stuff he was doing. So the artist here is William Johnson. And here's what he did, Michael. He did issues 122 to 125 of Master of Kung Fu. And I believe those were the final 4 issues of the series. He did Transformers issues 7 and 8, Savage Sword of Conan 112 and 147. That's a big span. He did ROM annual number 3, and then he did Daredevil 197 to 202, 205, and 207. That's all he did. That's his entire career.
Is crazy because, as Larry said, he's a good artist. Like,
yeah, I had never seen any of his stuff before this, and it turns out I had because I had some of those Daredevils that he did, and I didn't even notice it. But yeah, I thought the art here is really good. So the problem was that Budiansky ended up being Johnson's editor on Daredevil when he was drawing Daredevil, and he said he was a really nice guy, and he thought the art was great, but Johnson had trouble meeting deadlines. Which is
okay.
And and Johnson himself begged Budiansky to take him off the book because he couldn't keep up with the monthly schedule.
Wow.
And then that's pretty much the last thing he did. So
I can say for the record, because I've seen every issue, this is definitely, like, I love Jose Delbo, but this is probably the best art in the series. Like,
yeah, and when we compare this to like G.I. Joe, like the art in G.I. Joe is really not so good.
I mean, yeah, I liked it, but it wasn't nearly as good as this. This is excellent. And also, we have to give credit to Kyle Baker's inks. Like, he really helps it, I think. The shadows, like, are just great.
I agree. But I think all the Transformers here look spectacular. All the
I agree.
Really good.
And the thing is they also look on model. Like, those shots of Shockwave look almost exactly like the toy, but they're still really well done, you know?
In drawing robots, it's a little different than drawing people. You know, you got to be real exact with your lines and a lot of roller work. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of edge work. Larry, did you have any favorite panels that stuck out for you?
I think like when he walks into the Ark and he sees the other Transformers all hanging, like I like that. I like that panel.
Yeah, because he did a lot of stuff with perspective, or like a POV, I should say, point of view. Like he would put him up high in that one to look down, and a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
panel design as well.
Soundwave, he was cool.
Yeah, the Soundwave, the big picture of Soundwave, and then when Soundwave and Laserbeak are going through just shooting everybody, that was great.
And then the scene I mentioned where we get an establishing shot of Decepticon base, then a close up of Shockwave, then a reverse shot looking up at the computer screen with Soundwave talking to him, like stuff like that's great. You know, it's good storytelling.
His humans look good too. You know, it's not just that he's drawing good robots. All the humans look good.
Yeah,
I was really impressed. I really like this art a lot.
Me too. I've always loved this art. Yeah.
Anything else about the creators?
I don't know. I can only say that, you know, as a kid, I always thought the first year's worth of Transformers was the best in the run. So the best Bob Budiansky issues are definitely number 12. And if you want to narrow it down even further, it's 5 to 8. Those are the absolute best issues.
But I thought you said 33 and 34 or whatever.
Well, those are not Bob Budiansky. They're written by they're the ones from the UK, but they were not written by Simon Furman. They were done by I just had it. I can't remember. The art was by John Ridgway, and the writing was by, I'll find out right now, it was Steve Parkhouse. And excellent writing and excellent art. And that will be possibly reviewed in an upcoming episode of Flea Market Fantasy.
I doubt it.
We'll see about that.
Larry, any final comments on the issue?
No, just it was a nice nostalgic ride reading it.
Would you read more Transformers, Larry?
I might, because I had to sign up for the free 30-day trial on Comixology to read this book. So
Michael, what are you doing, Michael?
I gave him the link, but he didn't use it.
Oh. You never sent it.
I thought I did. Okay, my bad. I owe you. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, I don't care. I was just because last time I was on the show, I just went on Comixology and I just spent the $2 or whatever and bought Spider 300, and I was like, well, I'll just go on there and buy it. They wouldn't let you just buy this issue for $2. It's like, well, you have to be a member to read it. And I'm like, all right.
Is your email Mattingly23?
Yes.
Because I sent it on Thursday, October 29th, but whatever. I don't know. Maybe it went to your spam.
It might have. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Michael's got a lot of black market Canadian comics connections, so you don't have to worry about it.
All right.
But yeah, hey Larry, I recommend just read 1 to 12 at least, and then go from there.
At least, Larry.
12?
Come on, Larry.
Yeah.
At least read 12 issues. At least.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Okay, 1 to 8. 1 to 8.
All right. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No.
It's not
All
gonna
right, whatever.
Yeah. All right, so there it is. Larry, what would you give Transformers issue 7, 1 out of 10?
6.
6. All right. Michael?
I think you know what I'm going to give it. I would have given it an 8. Objectively, I'll give it an 8. From the perspective of a 9-year-old kid, it's a 10. But from an adult perspective, it's an 8.
Yeah, I have no idea why a 9-year-old kid would give this a 10 just because there's not enough action in it. I did like Megatron slapping around Ratchet. I liked when he crushed Ratchet's shoulder. That was cool.
Okay.
Of course, the Robot sex ritual. That
was good. Yep. So what do you give it?
I love the art.
Okay.
So I'm giving it a 7. I'll cut the difference.
All right.
But I need more action, Michael. A lot of yapping, a lot of talking, more punching.
More Transformers, too.
Yes. Less BlackRock, more Transformers. There you go. But still, the art is just tremendous. So
yeah, I agree.
All right. So next week, Michael, I always pick right before the show. Larry, Michael has like this master list of 1,000 books we're going to do. And I'm always scrambling right before the show. Oh, shit, I got to pick a book. So I decided to keep the toy line comic book theme running.
Fun.
We're going to go back to 1980. Rom the Space Knight, issue 9.
Nice.
Rom.
Number 9?
Yeah, I just picked number 9. I was looking at the covers. That's how I tend to pick. And the cover here, Michael, is drawn by Michael Golden, and it's really good.
Awesome. So,
but the art inside the book is Sal Buscema, and it's written by Bill Mantlo. Apparently, they did pretty much the whole run, it seemed.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Now, have you ever read Rom?
Yeah, I've read a few random issues. It's great. Bill Mantlo's awesome. Sal Buscema's awesome. Yeah, it's good. It's a good run.
I've never read it. Larry, do you know what Rom is?
Now I'm looking at it. I kind of remember this comic, but I don't think I've ever read any.
It's like the same thing as Transformers, where a toy company had a toy. They didn't have a backstory, so they hired Marvel, and then Marvel provided the backstory and all that stuff. Like, I always thought he's a robot, but apparently he's a dude inside a robot outfit, right?
I think so, yeah. I don't remember.
Iron Man?
What's that, Larry?
He's just Iron Man?
I guess, in a way, yeah.
All right.
But he's from outer space. He's a space knight.
Space Iron Man. I got you.
Yeah, Space Iron Man. So next week, Rom, issue 9. Well, Larry, what a treat.
Hey.
What a treat.
I do what I can.
Thank you for joining us. Definitely.
Ain't no problem, guys. I'll be back probably in about 2 years.
Yeah, we did Spider-Man and Transformers with Larry. Is there anything else Larry likes that we could get him on here for?
If you guys do like like the Dark Knight Returns or whatever, yeah, I'll come in for that.
I hope to God not.
But I love that book.
All right, Larry. Well, thank you, buddy. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, later.
All right. All right. So yeah, Flea Market Fantasy. We do a different Bronze Age comic book every week. We are available on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, under Comic Book Syndicate, on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and on the Comic Book Syndicate website. Every week we do a different Bronze Age comic book. So until next Tuesday, disperse!